Hi everyone, my name is Lori, my nickname is Rini, and I'd like to welcome you to Rini Bo Beanie Creations. If this is the first time you've stopped by to check out my channel, a very warm welcome to you. I do hope you like what you see. If you do, please give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing and sharing with your fellow crafters. For all of my subscribers, thanks again. I'm so excited with what's going on in my channel and all the new subscribers. Please, again, give it a thumbs up, share this. It's so exciting for me. So this week we're going to make the last of my Easter project sort of thing, and it's for my grandson. So rather than make him a regular old Easter basket, we're going to make one of these. Now you can change the colors to suit the ribbon, all kinds of things. You can totally customize this to whatever suits you, but it's just made out of a coffee can and stuff I got from the Dollarama. So let me stop yakking at you and we'll get on with the crafting. Alright, so I am going to turn this coffee can into an Easter basket of sorts. I really love working with the coffee cans. I love that they recycle so well and there's so many things you can do with them. But to start, I'm just simply going to put a couple of coats of white acrylic. You can use chalk paint or whatever other paint you have around. I'm going with white because we are going to do a plaid motif on here. You can certainly use another color as your base color, but I'm just going to give it a couple of good coats of white and wait for it to dry, and once it's dry we'll go on to our next step. Alright, so we've given it a couple of coats of the white to give us our base coat. You might want something because it tends to roll away on you. So now we're going to start with our buffalo or plaid sort of color. So I'm using, what is this? I think it's 3/4 inch. But just find the one that works best with like the size that you're doing. So there are lots of tutorials on about how to do this, but I'm going to show you two. So you're going to take your tape for the first pass and go all the way around. And then you're going to take another piece, use that as your guide, and I think because this is round and I don't want it to go wonky, I'm going to go all the way around again before I peel it off, and you'll see what I mean here in a second. Going to do it again. And I'm just going just to the outside of it so that I don't make it so I can't peel this one out. You'll see in a second here. I don't want to go on top of it because then I won't be able to get it out. Okay, so now I'm going to take this one off. And do it again. So we get stripes. Okay, so you should be left with something like that. Now, this one is actually for my grandson, so I'm not going to use the pink, but I am going to use sort of spring color. So I will use the light green. This one's lavender, and this one's just what do they call this one? Calypso Sky Blue. So I'm just going to use sort of more of the cooler colors for my grandson. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and paint one of them, each one of the colors here. And unless your coverage is really not good, one coat will be plenty for this, even if it's not completely opaque. For doing the plaid stuff, that's not a bad thing necessarily. Okay, so we are going to need to let this dry before we can move on to this next step. Okay, so it's all dry. And now we're going to take the tape off, but you don't have to throw it away. I mean, if it gets smushed, of course you can, but you can definitely reuse this. Okay, so now we've got our stripes. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go the other way. Now, if yours don't come out perfectly even, that's okay. I'm not sure if mine are going to or not either, but we're going to do some other things to it. So if it doesn't come out, you know, with perfectly even marks, I mean, you can certainly measure and tape if you want. I'm not going to worry too much about that because I'm going to do something a little fancier on the front of it, sort of thing. So again, we're going to do the same thing, but because this is shorter and not going around, we're going up and down, I'm not going to put a full piece this time. I'm just going to put a small piece that lets me know how far I need to be over. Alright, so we got her all taped off, and now we're going to do the same thing the other way. So I'm just going to go between the three alternately. Make sure my tape's down. Alright, so we're all dry now. So now you're going to put on back on the tape that you had originally. And you are going to put it back over top of where it originally was, so where it's still white. All right, so now we're going to do it one more time. We're gonna let that one dry and then we'll peel our tape off and it'll be the moment of truth. Okay, so we're all dry, so it is the moment of truth. Now see how it's pulling some off? I'm actually okay with that. I kind of like that look, but if you don't, you can always go back and just touch it up a little bit. Or before you do your coat of paint, in between each, you can put a seal coat on it, something like Mod Podge or whatever, or varnish or whatever you have. But I don't actually mind that at all. So I'm going to keep it that way. Okay, so there's our Easter bucket, I guess. And now that it's all done, now you can, again, there's been a couple of bleeds, which will happen, especially when something, see how it has the ridge and it bleeds on the ridge. You can touch it up. Again, I kind of like I might touch that one up, it's a little bit bigger, but I don't mind a little bit. I like it looking a little bit rough, not crazy rough, but a little bit. So I think we're gonna leave it as that, and we will move on to decorating it up. So carrying on with our plaid bucket craft, we're now gonna make a couple of bunnies to go on the front of it. So the eggs, it doesn't matter what they look like, except for that they have to open this way and not top to bottom, if that makes sense. So I'm just gonna trace around it. Now this part doesn't have to be perfect. This is just to give us something to attach it to the bucket. And then we'll just cut these guys out here. And they don't have to be perfect for the same reason. Nobody's going to see these when they're finished. So, see, I kind of did a wonky job, but that's okay. And just with a little hot glue, I'm going to attach them. Oops. So now we're just going to cover the front with our faux fur. So I'm just going to cut to about there. We'll trim it off after. And with this one, I'm not too worried about separating the fur again because it's going to be around the side. You won't see it. And I will cut off a little bit at the bottom. And you want to keep this little, anything you've got that size will work for ears after, so don't huck it out here. We're just going to cover him. So now you should be left with something that looks similar to that. So then we're going to make his ears, and that's why I said don't throw this away. I think those would be just the right size actually, so I am just going to cut them in half. This time I am going to do a little bit of my fur separation. If you've seen other videos where I work with the fur, to not end up with a strange sort of edge, you just want to separate it as best you can. Now you probably won't get right down to the thing. That won't cut off all the ends and it'll keep your ears kind of fluffy. So we're going to trim that off. And then with the ears, it's a little bit hard to do this, so just do your best. And what I try to do, I don't know if you can see it, is I just try to cut in here without necessarily going through the fur. So, I mean, you will still, there's no way around it, but if you can kind of do something like that. Now you still have a pointy furry end. Okay, so we're going to do that to both of them. And then what we're going to do is with our pink felt, which again just came from the dollar store, we're going to cut a couple of inside ears. I'm just going to eyeball it, and we can always trim them down. Sure, they don't need to be that long, but that gives me a bit of room if I want to trim them up a bit. Okay, so then we're going to put the pink in the ears. I'll just use a little hot glue for that. And at first, the hot glue gun. And then we're going to pinch him at the bottom like that, and that kind of gives that. And then because I'm going to end up attaching him, I am going to cut some of the fur off and just trim up the bottom so we have a better edge to work with. So we've got a couple of ears. Now, for the next one, we'll come back and put this together after. We're not quite there yet. We're going to do the same thing as we did to this, but he's going to be a little bit different when we're done. So I'm going to go ahead and get that all ready, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how we're doing that one. All right, so now we've got our two little egg guys. So the first one, this is the first one we did. Nope, this one is not that it really matters, but so the first thing we're going to do now is put his ears on. So to do that, just a little hot glue. And we're going to tuck them up in the top. I'm going to pull a little fur back so it kind of hides. When I pull it back in, it kind of hides the glue spot. Alright, so once they're on there, I got, oops, they're all falling over. I got these pom-poms just from the dollar store, and they happen to be Easter colors. I needed the pink and the white mostly. So we're going to give him little cheeks like that, and a nose and some eyes. So now we're going to put our little bunny face together here. So we're going to start with these pom-poms. And I'm just going to make these his cheeks. Just like that. Oop. Oh, and I caught it. And then I've just got this little button I'm going to use for his nose. I'm just going to tuck that in sort of at the top between Oh, that's not part of the plan. The cheeks. And then I just have these little black buttons, and you can use googly eyes, beads, whatever, but I think these are going to work just right for me. So I just want to kind of see how I want to place them. So what I'm going to do is kind of pull the fur apart where I want the eyes to go. And I mean, this is kind of personal preference. So you can put the eyes, just play with them till you find a spot you want them. I think I'm going to go just to the outside, or above and the outside of the cheek. And then I'm thinking I might just do a little bow. So I got this teal that kind of matches the color on our, it's just raffia, but you can use ribbon, whatever you want. Yeah, maybe we'll give it a little bit more. No, I think I do want her down there. There's our first little bunny. Now for the second little bunny, like I said, he's going to go sideways. So for him, I think I may actually put him on here first, just so I can see how it's going to look. So I'm going to find out what side I want them on. Yeah, I think there's good. And this is why you need the backing, because now we're going to attach him. I think this will just make it easier for me to see how his ears and face and all that should go. Now he will stick out a little bit, but that's okay. He won't touch all the way because of the So now I'm going to do the one ear sort of in there. Do that just a smidge. Another ear. There it is. Do the other one sort of. I'll maybe a bit much glue. There. And of course, because he's on the side, we only need one cheek. I think. Maybe we'll try the two and see how it works out. Yep, I think we'll do the two. Then I have another little button for his nose. And then we're going to give him a big fluffy tail. So we've got this big pom-pom. And we just need some eyes for this little guy. So again, just some black beads. For him, I'm just going to do a little bow up here. So I'm just going to take some more of that same raffia. Just going to put our other bunny on there, and then we'll do just a few little extra embellishments, give it a handle, and get it ready for filling it full of Easter treats. So we're just going to place him right beside. So that's our little Easter bunny basket so far. So yeah, like I said, I'll do a few little extra embellishments here. We're going to put a handle through him, and then we will fill him full of the treats. Okay, so there's our little bunnies and our thing, and just to finish him off, I just printed this off on my Cricuts. You can use, if you don't have a Cricut, you can use stickers, you can use just some ribbon. You don't have to do anything at all. Just depends what you want. So this is just an I always say that wrong, SVG file. I believe I found it on Pinterest, but there was tons, there was lots on Cricut, there was all different ones, and I've seen some border kind of things at the dollar store too. So just whatever suits you and your colors and what you want it to look like. And like I said, ribbon would be great, stickers would be great. You can really play with this, but I'm going to go with this because I do have the Cricut. So I'm just going to glue this all the way around. There it is, all done. So just for the final touch, I am going to give it a rope handle. Now you can use wire, you can use ribbon, you can not worry about the handle. You can cut a plastic ice cream bucket and use plastic to make your handle, cover it with ribbon. But because it's a little boy and he doesn't want a lot of frill and fluff, I'm going to go ahead and I've got this rope that I got from the dollar store for $4, and I'm just gonna measure about how long I want it, allowing for a knot. And of course you can always trim it off, so you're better to cut longer and have to trim. So I'm just gonna cut like maybe in there. Just so I have enough room for that knot. I'm just using the sharp end of my scissors because my coffee can is cardboard. I can use the scissors. If you have a tin one, if you find a nail big enough to make the hole for that, you can just pound the nail through and that works really well too. But as this one's cardboard, it'll work just fine for us. So I'm just going to try and find sort of the center. I'm going to go I'm going to put the knot on the outside, but you can put it on the inside, just however you want it to look. So a little tape wrapped around the end will certainly help get it through the hole, especially if your rope wants to fray a little bit. So there's our rope, and all we need to do is fill it with our Easter goodies. So I think he turned out pretty cute. Really like how they are. And I'll get some better pictures, and I hope you liked it, and let me know if you made it and send me pictures of your take on it. Thanks, I hope you see you again soon.